The sun was setting over the blistering desert of Karbala. The 9th of Muharram, Tasu'a, marked the eve of one of the most heartbreaking tragedies in Islamic history. A small camp of just 72 stood surrounded by thousands. In the centre was Imam Hussain ibn Ali, grandson of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhim. Across him stood the army of Yazid, armed and merciless. For days the river Euphrates was blocked. No water, no mercy. Even infants cried from thirst. Yet Hussein's camp remained patient. They weren't just preparing for battle, they were preparing to stand for divine truth. That night, Imam Hussain addressed his companions. "Tomorrow is the day, the battle is near. They seek only me. You are free to leave tonight. I release you of your pledge." Imagine that moment, the chance to save your life, but not a single soul left. Every companion, whether family, friend, or freed slave, chose loyalty. Some kissed his hands, saying, "Even if we are killed and revived 1,000 times, we would still die with you, Ya Hussein." That night wasn't filled with fear, it was filled with worship. Prayers, recitation of Quran, soft weeping filled the tents. Imam Hussain spent time with his sister Zainab, his son Ali Akbar, and his infant Ali Ashgar. On the other side, Umar ibn Sa'd, commander of Yazid's forces, prepared for battle. He had received the final chilling order: attack them even if they do not strike first. As dawn neared, Hussein's camp prepared, not to win, but to show that silence in the face of injustice is betrayal. Time for self. Subscribe but the Insight 360 for more updates. As the sun rose on the 10th of Muharram, the desert of Karbala braced for a tragedy that would echo through history. It was the day of Ashura. On one side stood Imam Hussain with 72 companions. On the other, over 30,000 soldiers loyal to Yazid. Before a single sword was raised, Hussain made a final plea. He rode out and said, "O people, if you do not fear God, at least be free in your lives. Why do you deny even water to children?" But his words were met with silence, then the sound of war drums. The first arrow was fired. The battle began. One by one, Hussein's companions faced the massive army. They knew they wouldn't return, yet fought with courage. Zuhair ibn Kain, Habib ibn Mazahir, Muslim ibn Awsaja, each became immortal that day. Then came Ali Akbar, Hussein's 18-year-old son. His face resembled the Prophet alayhi wa salam. Hussain wept, but gave permission. Ali Akbar fought bravely, but fell. Hussain held him and cried, "O my son, how will your father live after you?" Hussain ran to him, lifted his broken body and cried out, "O my son, after you, how will your father live?" But the cruelty was not over. Soon, the 6-month-old infant, Ali Asghar, was brought out. Not to fight, but to beg for water. Hussain held the child up and said, "If I am guilty, then what is his sin?" But in return, a 3-pronged arrow pierced the baby's throat. Blood spilled onto Hussein's hands, and he looked up to the sky and said, "O Allah, this is for you, accept this sacrifice." By afternoon, almost all of Hussein's companions had been martyred. Only the family remained. His brothers, his nephews, and finally Abbas, the standard-bearer, went to fetch water but was ambushed. His arms were cut off, he was struck in the head. And yet, even in his final breath, he called out, "Ya Akhi, forgive me, I couldn't bring water back." Imam Hussain stood alone, weary, wounded, heartbroken but unshaken. He prepared himself for his final stand.
The sun began to set on the bloodied sands of Karbala. The battlefield had fallen silent, but not in peace. Imam Hussain now stood alone. His companions were gone. His family had been slaughtered. Only the cries of children and the wailings of women came from the tents behind him. Wounded and exhausted, Hussain still stood tall, his back bent from sorrow, but not from fear. He mounted his horse for the last time, determined to fulfill the final chapter of his sacrifice. He fought alone against the army of thousands. His strength, both physical and spiritual, stunned the enemy. But eventually, he was surrounded. A rain of arrows struck him. Spears tore into him. He fell from his horse, landing on the scorching desert floor. And still, they did not spare him. They came close, hesitated, and then the brutal act was done. His blessed head was severed, his body trampled beneath horses. The grandson of the Prophet ﷺ left in the dirt, his body unburied. The tents of Hussein's family were burned. The women, his sister Zainab, his wife, and the children were taken captive. Their journey from Karbala to Kufa and then Damascus was one of humiliation, but it was also the journey that gave Karbala its voice. Zainab stood before Yazid in his court, a prisoner, yet fearless. She said, "Do you think you have won, O Yazid? You have only cut the branches. The roots remain. You will never silence the truth Hussein died for." That voice shook empires. That message outlived Yazid's throne. Today, over 1,400 years later, we still remember Karbala. Not just as a historical event, but as a mirror, a reminder that when injustice rises, silence is betrayal. When truth is threatened, sacrifice is necessary. And when the world stands with power, we must stand with principle. Imam Hussain didn't die for one group or sect. He died for humanity, for dignity, for freedom. Ask yourself,